Welcome to the Put on Waivers Media Group, home of the Put on Raiders podcast and the Student Body Right podcast. This is your place for the best breakdowns and the best insight for those who fight on and bleed silver and black. Now, here are your hosts, Dwayne Douglas and Ryan Holmes.
And welcome everybody to another glorious episode of the Put on Raiders podcast. I'm your host, Dwayne Douglas, along with Ryan Holmes, and we are podcasting on the beautiful shores of the Pacific Ocean. Beautiful day out here in Southern California. PORSPR is my Twitter handle, and Ryan's is RHOLM22. The Raiders continue to do what they do, I guess. Lose closer, cover the spread. We went to just win, baby, to cover the spread. To 27-20. A little garbage touchdown late in the game, but thoughts about, like, let's just start from the AP point of view, and let's just jump in real quick because it is what it is. End of the half, like they almost call like an NBA timeout, right? The NBA timeout, like where like the NBA will they'll look at the setup and say, okay, we'll call timeout to head up the defense, whatever. The thing that I don't understand is you've had this long history of Travis Kelce destroying your team in that building. They're at the 5-yard line. I think it was 3rd and 5 at the 3rd and goal at the 5-yard line, and free release off the line. He just stops, catches it, touchdown after a timeout. That's just like, I don't know what I'm not sure what that is. I'm not sure what that is. I don't know what you have. If you have any thoughts about that.
Yeah, it was coming off the 2-minute warning, so there was a TV timeout.
Yeah,
they come back from timeout. It's 3rd and goal from the 5. Now the Raiders deferred the opening kickoff, so they're getting the ball. Start the 3rd quarter. So you're trying to get that 2 score where you can get that 10, 14 point momentum swing without the other team touching the ball. The Raiders had 2 timeouts. I understand wanting to see what play they're going to run, but that's not going to work because they're just going to change the play. So you don't really gain any information. I don't understand what the point of the timeout is.
Yeah.
So AP wastes a timeout there, and then the Raiders decide not to cover Travis Kelce, so they end up giving a touchdown. And you're thinking, okay, there's 1:50 left. They have 1 timeout. They have a chance to at least go down and get a field goal and try to make this thing 14-13. Try to get it closer because they're getting the ball back. And whoever put the jet sweep or the touch pass to Jacoby Myers in the playbook, take it out. He's slow. Even if he gets around the end, you're going to get 5 yards there, and the clock's still going to run. So it's essentially a running play.
Yeah.
And then on second and 10, they run again. So you have run. So there's no aggressiveness. There's no plan to move it down the field.
No Bowers.
And then Kansas City's like, you know what? We're going to call timeout. They're going to give us the ball back. We're going to take it.
Yep.
And then obviously on 3rd down, Gardner Minshew rolls out and throws it away. Punt, field goal. The rest is history. So Antonio Pierce decided to not be aggressive. He needs to stop going up on the podium and saying, we're going to be aggressive. We're going to push the ball down the field. We're going to run the ball. They can't do any of that stuff. And
they're not even trying.
We warned people in the offseason when they hired Antonio Pierce that you're going to get a defensive-minded coach that wants to play field position. He's not aggressive at the end of halves. He wasn't last year when he was interim coach. That's not going to change. And for them to keep doing it, and then for him to have the audacity to get on the podium and say, hey, there was 1:50 left. We were trying to run the clock. We didn't want to give it back to them with too much time. The goal is to try to score points.
Yeah.
The goal is not to try to run it out till half and then just get the ball in the second. If you're going to do that, why would you ever defer the kickoff? Just take the opening kick and try to go down the field and score. So he says one thing. His actions are completely different. It's another mind-numbing 2-minute drill, the use of the timeout, and then obviously how they attacked it. And then they come out of the half, let's be aggressive. It's a 7-point game. Run, throw a ball behind the line of scrimmage, incomplete punt. It's happening over and over and over again. And I know he's a first-time head coach. Yeah. I know people are saying he's a learn on the job, but learning means that you're getting better at something. He's almost regressing. Like the decisions are getting much worse. And then we can talk
100%.
about the 3 runs on the goal line.
Yeah.
And then for Antonio Pierce to stand up on the podium again and say, well, hey, we tried to throw it last week. It didn't work. So this week we tried to run it. It didn't work. You have to understand the situation of the game you're in. They ran the ball very well against the Rams, and then they went away from something that wasn't working.
Yeah.
They threw the ball very well in this game in the short. I mean, obviously they didn't push it down the field. These aren't gaudy numbers, but I think Minshew went 24 for 30. So the one thing that was working, they went away from it again. So he could say what he wants at the podium, but what actually happened is he went in the opposite direction of what was really working. Now that's on Luke Getsy, the play caller. Let's not forget Antonio Pierce is the head coach. At any point, he can step in and say, you know what, scrap that. Let's do something else. He can stop all of these play calls if he wants to. He's choosing not to. He's stepping aside. He's delegating. It's going to cost him his job if he doesn't clean this up. And I know a lot of people want to move on from him now. I had a ton of people reaching out to me, say, fire AP, fire Getsy. You
Yeah, me
can't.
too.
Mark Davis cannot fire either one of these guys during the season. Because what's going to happen if you're a head coaching candidate and people keep screaming for Ben Johnson? First of all, Ben Johnson turned down the Commanders and he asked for $15 million a year. People forget that. Mark Davis is not paying $15 million a year for a rookie head coach, even if he wanted to come to the Raiders.
Yeah.
And two, if you fire Josh McDaniels a year and a half in before you even get to Halloween, and then you hire Antonio Pierce and you fire him in the middle of the season before you get to Halloween, no coach worth a damn is going to take this job. So
Yep.
Mark Davis just has to ride this out to the end of the year. Hopefully the losses pile up and they get in a position where they take a quarterback. And at the end of the year, if they want to sit down and say, hey, it was injuries, hey, it was Luke Getsy, we do like the culture, we want to keep Antonio for another year, but the organization should sit down at the end of the year and say, what's best for whoever the quarterback is going to be next year?
Yep.
Because they have to build an environment to develop whoever is going to be under center. And if you keep AP and you get rid of him halfway into next year, if this continues of the rookie quarterback, you just messed up your rookie quarterback. It's not worth it. So
Yeah.
Antonio Pierce has to show progress. It's one thing to say he's learning, but at every opportunity he has a chance to make good game management decisions, he's missing the boat on all of them.
Yeah, he's struggling, and I think two things. And can you mention a little bit about already? But I think we need to stop people on social media. Stop going after Getsy. Stop going after Getsy. Like he is the offensive coordinator. He may not be very good at his job, but he was chosen by AP, and AP at any point, like you said, has the opportunity to stop that play call and say, "Hey, I need something better than that. I need something else." Also, I forget the guy who does the time management or game management for the Raiders.
Matt Sheldon.
Like we need to stop posting his picture as if he's a supreme decision maker on the Raiders. The decision maker on the Raiders when the game begins is Antonio Pierce. Antonio Pierce runs the Raiders on game day. So like we don't to put his picture up like that, it's kind of like saying you're trying to blame him when we don't know what is being suggested in the headset. Like he could be giving him the worst advice ever. He could be giving him the best advice ever. And AP just doing his own thing. Like we really have no idea. So like you can't blame it can't be everybody's fault but the person in charge. Like it's really that's how I really got a beef with y'all, because like I understand like this is a very divisive kind of car level deal for Raider Nation. Like half the nation hates Antonio Pierce, never won in the first place, and some people will make every single excuse in the world for him. Right now, the Raiders are not winning. They're not playing well. They don't look like a well-oiled machine, like a team that's actually like if they lose this in a 27, if this game is 20-20 in the fourth quarter, and then you get hit with a Kelsey Mahomes play at the end, you can live with that because they're the Chiefs and that's what they do. But the way this game kind of played out, it was filled with a bunch of mistakes by the head coach. And that's who is in charge. Like, I mean, like he did say on, I think, Ryan Clark's podcast that there were 12 to 13 to 14 people who were chomping at the bit to be the offensive coordinator for the Raiders. And he chose Luke Getsy. So you can say whatever you want about it. At the end of the day, AP is in charge, and that's who should really be taking the brunt of the blame for this is Antonio Pierce. I'm sorry if that upsets some people.
Yeah, we don't know that AP is not in telling Luke Getzey, continue to run the ball, don't abandon it, run the ball, run the ball, run the ball, first down,
Yeah,
run the ball, second down, run the ball, 2nd and 14 at the 20-yard line, run the ball. Like that
yeah,
happened today.
yeah.
Um, he's coaching like he wants his defense to carry the team, which it did last year, but that's not the identity of this year's team. And I know a lot of people want to say elite defense and throw that around. This defense gave up 12 of 16 on third downs today. They don't create turnovers. They got one today, but for the season, they don't create turnovers.
Yeah.
They don't sack the quarterback. Um, how many times do you think they actually hit Patrick Mahomes today? For all the Jordan
Oh,
rules and all the Antonio Pierce rhetoric that he had going on, how many times do you think they actually hit Patrick Mahomes? They sacked him once, but how many times do
yeah.
you think they actually put hands on him? The answer is
Oh,
three.
oh,
And one
so
of them
good.
was the roughing the passer on Chase on. So basically, they hit him twice. Um, that's not good enough.
Yep.
And we've had complaints about Patrick Graham. I think Patrick Graham's kind of skating in the background here because of how bad Luke Getzey's doing. Patrick Graham's not having a great season either.
Yep.
And one of our biggest gripes about him has always been he doesn't take away the best option for the other team. Notoriously, they haven't. And for them to go in today's game and have no plan for Travis Kelce, I know he hasn't been having a good year, but to basically just let him catch 10 or 12 targets for 90 yards, and most of the times he was completely wide open, where they were just playing zone coverage and just letting him run around the middle of the field and do whatever he wants.
Mm-hmm.
In a game where the Chiefs don't have any wide receivers,
Yep.
they have a rookie and Worthy who struggled. They have Hopkins who was barely on the field, and a Justin Watson, Mikael Hardman had one target. Like they should have been double covering Travis Kelce the whole game. Just put two guys on Kelce and make him throw the ball outside to those other guys. And the Raiders said, you know what? We're going to let you run the ball, and we're going to let you throw the ball to Travis Kelce whenever you want. We're not going to pressure the quarterback, and we're just going to sit back and play zone, and let's hope we get you off the field. Like that was literally the game plan. Now, obviously, it might change when I watch the all 22, but I don't know what the Raiders defense did today
Yeah.
that was designed to take away anything the Chiefs do, because they didn't take away anything.
And the biggest indictment to me isn't even this. The biggest indictment to me of Antonio Pierce is, like you said, the defense of Travis Kelce, because you have a defensive head coach. You have to go into that, that mindset, that Bill Belichick mindset, that make them play left-handed. Like, not once. Like I remember seeing one time where somebody hit him at the line of scrimmage, like ill intent, physical, whatever. Like all that, those are his words. Like, you know what I mean? Like you have to be able, like he's on the line of scrimmage, he's in line. You can hit him within the first five. Hit him and then have somebody over the top of it. That's one little bit of a kind of a heartbeat away from Max Crosby maybe getting a sack, or somebody getting a sack, or Kason, or Tyree who got a sack today. Like those plays can happen, but you have to make him hold the ball for one more heartbeat so those guys can get there. And if you're just going to let him get off the line freely, like like for him, like where is that? There's no attention to detail. And like this is for the folks who love AP, like at least on the defensive side, I would give him a a passing grade if they were just more attention to detail. It was really hard for opponents to score against the Raiders, or if they okay they're playing against so and so X receiver who's so dominant, and they hold him to 4 catches and 50 yards. Like those are the kind of things I don't see. I see everybody's best player still having their best game.
You'll see that next week when they play Jamar Chase. We'll see what they have in their bag to take away Jamar Chase. But when you play the Chiefs, you have to try to take away Travis Kelce. I'm not sure they tried to take him away. That's my point. Like maybe they did on a few downs, but like you need to do it pretty much
every play,
every passing down. You have to try, or come after Mahomes and make him get rid of the ball. But let him run around and Max Crosby needs a little bit here too. Max Crosby, I think I saw a stat. He had 0 pressures today and 28 pass rush attempts lined up against Juwan Taylor 1-on-1. That can't happen on this defense for this team to win. And Max is going to have to do more. It's hard when he's getting chipped, but like he's the superstar on this team. You cannot beat the Chiefs doing everything the Raiders did today. And it starts at the top. It starts with the head coach. And you mentioned Patrick Graham and him. Where's Marvin Lewis is a defensive guy too. He's on this staff. What's he doing?
He's waiting for direct deposit.
We need to stop talking about this as an elite defense and blaming the offense. The offense is horrible. We know that. This defense is probably middle of the pack. They get off the field on third downs going into today, but they're not stopping teams from scoring points. They give up points in the red zone. They couldn't get off the field today.
Yeah.
Those are things that matter when they play good teams. Like, and this is the first game of the stretch where they're going to start playing good teams.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to do something. Now they're injured. Marcus Epps isn't there. I'll give them that. But other than Marcus Epps and Malcolm Koonce and Christian Wilkins, those are big pieces. But a majority of the guys who were on this team last year are still playing, other than those two guys. So Wilkins wasn't on this team last year. So you'd expect at this point the plan to take away the opponent's best guy just wasn't there. And I think what bothers me more is the spot dropping. When they're playing zone, you see Diablo and you see Spillane just going to grass on the field and not, hey, there's a guy in my territory. Let me try to clamp this down. Let me get closer to this guy. They're just giving away 3 yards to Travis Kelce. Yeah. And he's a great player. And a lot of those times he is stopping routes where there's open space, but then the defensive line's not getting there. So we haven't even talked about the offensive line being an absolute train wreck today. But we'll get to that. But all in all, the box score makes this look like it was a game at 27-20, but at no point were the Raiders in control of this game. And they were down by 14 points there late in the fourth quarter. They're the 14th team in the history of the National Football League. Think about this. 14th team ever to be down by 10 points or more in all of their first 8 games. That's only happened 14 times in the history of the league. And that's what the Raiders are doing right now. And now they're going on, and like I said, they got Cincinnati and Miami coming up the next 2 weeks. There's a chance they're going to be down by double digits in the first 10 games of the season. They're lucky to have 2 wins right now.
I mean, does that mean that our show didn't even do that?
14 times. I'll have to look at the
list. The Raiders
2006 Raiders were on there.
Oh my God. Mike White. Oh
14 times, and we're talking about teams in like the 1920s. I mean, this in the history of the league, this has only happened 14 times.
That's crazy.
Mark Davis can't be happy what's going on either.
No, but he needs to put the gun in the holster and just don't pull the trigger.
Ride it out.
Don't ride it out. Ride it out. Look where the Commanders are. Ride it out.
Because nothing's going to change.
Yes,
exactly. You can get rid of AP and promote Marvin Harris or Joe Philbin or whoever you want, or you can have Scott Turner call plays. It's not changing.
Not changing, no question about it. So, strength of schedule that's left. Let's see. They ranked it toughest to easiest. Week 18 to week 8 to week 8 to week 18. Right now, the Bears have the toughest. Then the Browns, Lions, Niners, Packers, and then the Raiders. So that would be the only one non-playoff team or non-potential playoff team, or I would say I'll put it in the category of might be looking for a quarterback team ahead of them is the Browns. So it's the only team that's looking for a quarterback in that in that list. Caleb, Jared Goff, Purdy, and the quarterback for the Packers aren't going anywhere anytime soon. So, I mean, it's I hate to, that's the thing right now. The Tankathon, they're 7th right now. So we'll keep you abreast of all those tiebreakers. I know that's like a long way away and we keep talking about it, but I mean, it's the reality. And if you read the comments from the last couple of shows, like we've been, and finally people are coming around to the quarterback talk as far as that is. The running game, yay! The running game. I mean, I just came when I took a nap and I just woke up, and then I saw that sweet run by Josh Jacobs for a touchdown with the long touchdown he had. That was a sweet run by him. And then we come to our game, and then Madison has 14 carries for 15 yards. I
15
mean,
for 14. I think it was the
50,
other
it
way around.
was the way around. Oh, it's even better. It is just. I mean, I thought it would be a huge drop off. I didn't think it would be this bad of a drop off, but well, you can't run the football. I mean, and you're one dimensional, and you're one dimensional with a guy who is a quarterback who's not comfortable being in that situation. He does not want to be in a situation where all the game rests on him, Gardner Minshew. So the thoughts about the running game here. Did at some point in the game did they? I didn't notice it because somebody else noticed it, but did they take out um
James,
James? Did James leave
he
the
got
game?
hurt.
He got
Yeah.
hurt. So then JBJ took off six center. Yeah.
The last two drives, so the drive that Minshew fumbled, he was at center, and then the touchdown drive at the end, he was at center.
Yeah. So I mean the running game and the part of the thing that AP wants to be is physical, and they can't run the ball consistently for a lick.
I think it's interesting because early in the year they tried all those zone concepts and they kind of went away from that and they started blending in more power. I felt like, at least on the broadcast, I felt they tried to run a lot of power today and it just didn't work. So like
Yeah.
nothing's really working.
Yeah.
But then they get down in the red zone on the 3 yard line, and then they try to run out a shotgun on first and second down, and then they try an outside zone run on the half-yard line, and then penetration blows that up. So I don't know where they're going to go in the run game. At this point, we don't know the severity of James's injury, but if he can't go next week, then you're going to have JPJ slide over to center. I would assume Dylan Parham, hopefully, he's back at right guard. Then you move Meredith over to left guard. Um, it's tough because people want to talk about how good they think the rookies are on the Raiders' offensive line, but until this team can run the football, we can't really say that those guys are legit long-term pieces. Glaze has played well. I'll give him that. The tape for JPJ, I know everyone's saying that Telesco hit on the first 3 picks, and I'm a huge JPJ guy. The tape hasn't been there this year. He's actually been kind of a liability on that offensive line. For every 1 or 2 plays where you see something good, he gets beat a lot, and he's committing penalties as well. He's got to clean it up. It wouldn't surprise me if he continues to struggle at some point if you just saw them put Meredith over there once Parham's healthy, because he has struggled a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe like I said, maybe he goes inside the center. He's showing that he's probably a better center long-term prospect. That's what he was coming out of the draft. That's what he was last year at Oregon. That's what got him picked so high. He's not playing particularly well at left guard. So we'll see what happens there. And then the Raiders they have to be a little bit more creative. They have to a little more play action. You saw it on the first 2 drives. Play action, roll the quarterback out, get him on these half rolls, throw the ball out on the perimeter, misdirection, and then all that stuff goes away for some reason. So I don't know what Luke Getsy's doing up there. It was tough too because you kept hearing the commentators talk about the time of possession and the total yardage in the second half, but the Raiders only had the ball, I think, 3 times in the first half. So they had the 2 drives, and I think they had the 2-minute drill there where they kind of went 3 and out. And then the second half, they went 3 and out. They had a 11-play drive after that punt return. They got 15 yards and kicked a field goal, and then they got the ball at the 3 yard line. And then I don't think they touched it again to the fourth quarter. So they went a long stretch there without the ball because the defense couldn't get off the field.
If Getsy would be in the Hall of Fame if you only call 15 plays at the beginning of the game. I mean, everything runs so smooth in the first 15 plays, first 15 plays of the game. But obviously you need more than that. So I mean, we talked about a lot of different things with the Raiders. Our instant reaction to the Raiders' loss, 27-20 to the Chiefs. The Chiefs have still, I think Mahomes has never lost a game as a road team to the Raiders, right? The Raiders they've never beaten them in that capacity. So that's what the Raiders do, I guess. And as far as the front office goes, this is just they got to cool the jets. I mean, because you just have to let this whole proceed go. You have to let this whole thing go through. You can't make a jump. Don't make Patrick Graham or anybody else the head coach. Just let it ride. I know it sucks. I know it's embarrassing, at least for him, he's getting that money anyway because that stadium was full with red, but it was still full. So, but yeah, the Raiders really need to not screw this up by making a rash decision here. They've done that too many times already in their history.
Yeah, I think the whole opposing fans in the stadium thing is overblown at this point. It's going to be that way every week until this team can put a winning product on the field. Expect that. So I don't know why it's news.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if Raider fans don't want that to happen, then the Raider fans need to outbid the Chiefs fans on the ticket and buy them. So they
Yes.
can't complain about it and then not be willing to go to the game and invest the money. But with the product on the field, I get why they won't invest the money. So until the Raiders start winning, I would expect to see a 50-50, 60-40 crowd for every game from here on out.
Yeah.
That's just the reality of playing in Vegas.
Yeah.
And I want to remind people let's go back to January because I saw a lot of people on the timeline that didn't really understand how this came together. Mark Davis hired Antonio Pierce. That was the first domino.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Davis then hired Tom Telesco. Tom Telesco did not hire Antonio Pierce. Mark Davis did. So
Yes.
Mark Davis hired both of them. It was AP, then Telesco. Antonio Pierce hired Luke Getsy. Tom Telesco did not hire Luke Getsy. Mark Davis did not hire Luke Getsy. So I don't know why people don't understand how that came together, but there's a lot of people out there that don't seem to remember the timeline. The
And
Luke
all,
Getsy, what
yeah.
Devontae Adams did play a role in Luke Getsy coming over. Did Devontae Adams have the final say? No, Antonio Pierce did. So we can stop the Mark Davis didn't pay Cliff Kingsbury the third year talk because if you're going to give the head coach a 2-year deal, you are not giving the coordinator a 3-year deal. That's not happening. There's not a team in the National Football League that would do that. And having
Yeah.
said that, they never agreed to a contract. So just because AP said I want Kingsbury, let's bring him over, there was no contract. In
Yeah.
baseball terms, the Giants could go meet with Soto and say, hey, we want Soto. That doesn't mean they're going to get Soto. Whoever pays Soto is getting Soto. So the Raiders never offered the contract that Cliff Kingsbury wanted. Therefore, there was never a deal in place. So I don't know why people are so stuck on, well, there was a deal in place and Mark Davis just wouldn't do it. There was never a deal. Cliff said, this is what I want. The Raiders said, no,
Yeah.
no deal.
Yeah. I got a little excited. You said Giants and Soto in the same sentence.
Yeah, I had to cheer you up a little bit today. What if I said Dodgers and Soto? What would that make you?
Dude, I mean, at that point, hard cap needs to happen. At
I mean, they're paying Shohei $2 million right now. So and
I
Yamamoto
forgot.
five.
I forgot. He's not getting paid anything. As far as that is,
But
and
I just thought I'd throw the timeline out there because I see people all over the place that like Telesco hired this guy or Telesco hired AP. You can't hire head
yeah,
coaches or Telesco hired Getsy. That's not what happened.
and also too, you're in a situation where usually, um, everything matches up. Like you look at the contract for Harbaugh matches the GM with the Chargers. This is a
And I
situation
guarantee you the assistants on that team do not have the same length on their deal as Jim Harbaugh.
they do not. They probably have a 3-year deal. Where he has a longer deal. And so, like, I mean, it's a weird situation because like he hired AP because he's listening to the players, and the players wanted AP, and I think that the reason this is a reminder of why players are nice people and they are emotional and they will get attached to a guy, but the way some of these players ran like Usain Bolt from AP and the support of AP says all you need to know about why you need to have a long-term view of what you want at the head coach position, the head coach position, because like, as soon as like it became an option for him to go to the Jets, he was like, I'm out. He left. Now he left the Raiders to go to the Jets, and he might have listened. Who knows? The Jets and the Raiders are on the same path. Looks like, which is kind of hilarious. But at the end of the day, like he didn't sit back and say, I help. I love AP, this, that, and the other, and I'm sticking with AP. He didn't do that. So like that's how fickle players are. So you got to be able to kind of read through that, give them input, have conversations with them because they want to feel part of it. So that's fine. And then they might have insight that you may not have. But at the end of the day, you have to sit there and say, you can't be emotional because an emotional leader will only last for so long. One of the reasons why Shanahan is been, because people say what they want about Shanahan, but as far as tactically, like, calling plays and coming up with strategies to win games, he wins games at a high level. Like, he didn't win a Super Bowl, but he wins. I mean, Raider fans, we would take that. We make fun of the Niners because they haven't won it, and I do it sometimes too, joking around. But we would
I'll take it.
Shanahan and his success and his winning percentage in 2 seconds. And so, that's really it. The Raiders have to, like, kind of like be in that situation. And emotional leaders is not, you can be emotional in football, but you need to have that tactical strategist every week. Like, Dan Campbell looks like a pro wrestler a little bit, but he used to call plays. Like, he used to. I mean, he's very astute student of the game of football. Now he might go for a couple too many two-point conversions, or too many fourth downs,
Fake punts.
and fake punts, and the fourth downs that cost him a Super Bowl. But still, like that's his mantra. Like he has that in him, and we know what to expect out of him.
Yeah, I think it's the Telesco front. I think, and I'm not a Telesco apologist by any stretch of the imagination. You have to give him time. So if they're going to move on from AP, a lot of people are blaming Telesco for what's going on with AP. You can't do that. Like, Telesco came in January. Telesco didn't blow all the picks the past regimes did. He brought you Christian Wilkins, which is a huge
Yes.
get in free agency.
Yes.
He got you what looks like an all-pro in your first-round pick, and at least a solid starter at right tackle, and then a left guard / center that has a chance to be a long-term starter in his first offseason. You can't blame him for this roster. I know people want to say, well, he had all this cap space and he didn't use it. We don't know that Mark Davis let him use it.
Yes.
The Raiders have spent the least amount of cash in the league this year, and that even is going to go down with the $11 million they saved on the Devontae Adams deal. So if the Raiders were somewhere in the top 12 or 15 in cash spending this year, then you can say, okay, why didn't he use it? But I don't think it's a coincidence that they had $30-something million in cap space, and Mark Davis also spent the least amount of cash in the league. That kind of goes in hand in hand. I guarantee you that wasn't Telesco sitting there saying, if Mark Davis is saying, go spend that $34 million, and he's saying, I'm good, I'm not going to do that. He may have said, let me sit back and look at this roster, because this is what I think of the roster from my scouting when I was with the Chargers. I don't think they have this, and this. And we've come to find there are a lot of holes on this roster. This is not a roster that's going to compete for a playoff spot, obviously, this year.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens next year. But this team needs talent at a bunch of different levels. They need to stay healthy. And I fully expect that Tom Telesco is going to be here for another, barring a disaster, he's going to be here for another 3 or 4 years. And this year aside, this is going to fall on Getsy and potentially AAP. Those are going to be the guys that are going to go at the end of the year if Mark Davis wants to make a change. But this organization needs to sit down at the end of the year, knowing that they're probably going to go get a rookie quarterback. AP has to have a plan. He's got to keep the locker room, but he has to have a plan for what they're going to do on the offensive side, on how they're going to develop a young quarterback. If he can't answer those questions to Mark Davis, Tom Brady, and Tom Telesco, he probably should go, because that's going to be the most important thing moving forward, is aligning the front office along with whoever the quarterbacks. I mean, how can we develop him? Yeah. Because the worst thing you can do to a rookie quarterback is fire AP in the middle of next year, at the end of next year, and start all over in year 2. And now you start the revolving door. So start fresh with a new head coach, a new offense coordinator, and a new quarterback, unless you're convinced that AP's the guy. And he may be. He may stay around. We don't know that. Yeah. That's going to be the biggest thing going into the offseason is how are they going to approach the development of whoever the quarterback's going to be. And at this point, in total Raiders luck, they're 2-6 and they're sitting at the 7th pick. They're going to lose a lot of tiebreakers. The tiebreakers based on strength of schedule. So the fact that the Chiefs are 7-0, that counts as 14-0 because you play them twice when you start factoring in. And by the end of the year, if they're 14-3, as I texted you the other day, that's 28-6. That strength of schedule is going to skyrocket. You start losing all the tiebreakers. So it actually hurts them that they're in the Chiefs division right now. And it's kind of been that way. They've lost a lot of tiebreakers over the last few years when determining where they're going to pick in the draft.
Yeah, they're gonna need some help. They're gonna need some help, or they're gonna have to give up the capital. Like, I mean, they give the capital, do they gotta do. But the ideal situation would be to be in a slot where you can get that quarterback without having to give up the capital, and you can still build around that team. As far as that is, man,
They committed less penalties today, so there's that.
oh yeah, well, and there was only one roughing the passer, with the crew they had this week. So there's only one. There's only one of those. So
I
gotta
think you
love
mentioned
that.
earlier it was interesting when AP took the podium because we went from pain, ill intent, violence, just win, baby, and he literally got on the podium and said, "We were competitive when we fought." Like that's what he kept saying.
Yeah,
Like we were
yeah,
competitive. Being competitive in fighting is not going to keep your job. Winning games will. Now, obviously, there is a faction of the fan base, and us included, who, at this point, if you're not going to go to the playoffs, we need that. We need that top pick to get the quarterback.
yeah.
But
We
at the
do.
same time, the head coach can't go on the podium and. That's like when I think you tweeted me today. Hey, at least we're not losers like the Tom Cable line. Like you
Yeah,
can't do that. You
yeah,
cannot get
yeah.
on the podium and do that.
You cannot do that. Yeah, it's the worst, absolute worst. I'm just looking up numbers from this game to see everything we missed and the instant reaction of it. But that's pretty much it, man. I mean, they really have not. They have been. This was ugly. This was ugly. Like it's been all basically like it's been all year. So I mean, the Raiders have not kind of dazzled us. Besides that one quarter against the Ravens, um, the Ravens only lost to
Browns and
the
the Ravens.
Browns and the Raiders.
No, they've lost 3 games. They lost.
Oh, three. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh,
They lost
they
another one.
lost to the Chiefs. That was the
Yeah.
opening day. Opening day, they lost to the Chiefs as well. So, yeah.
I might need to take a couple days to watch the all 22 of this one. So
Yeah,
we'll see.
and
I don't know if I can jump into it in the
yeah,
morning.
yeah. I don't know. It's brutal. It's brutal. Couple things off the beaten path. Because we're just having the end of the show. We're just having some little bit of fun here. Did you happen to see the Dwayne Wade statue?
I did not. No.
Okay, please take a second look at the Dwayne Wade statue real quick
Where
before we
in
go.
Miami?
In Miami, they made a statue outside of the arena, and
Okay, I'm gonna go.
people on the internet is doing it justice. They are destroying it because it doesn't look anything like Dwayne Wade. It looks like Lawrence Fishburne, looks like Delroy Linden. It looks like they got
Wow, that does not look like him at all.
no, it looks really bad. It's really, really bad. It's really bad. It's
That,
awful.
that's bad.
That's a bad picture. That's a bad picture. I'll put it up so if you haven't seen me see it, you can see it on the screen. That's brutal. That's brutal. And I am very pleased. I want to thank Fox Entertainment. Very happy that they finally, after negotiating for years and years and years, they got Kiefer Sutherland to sign on the dotted line, and 24 is coming back. I am really
Oh,
excited about that. I'm really excited. I'm pumped about that. Really, just that was one of the shows. Like that, literally, we'd watch that show, and my dad and I would talk about it for 2 hours next day. Like we love that show. So happy to have that show come back. As far as that is, and then for some reason, I've been listening to ODB, the greatest hits, all week. I don't know. I can't stop. So that's about it.
I've been listening to the Mariah Carey Christmas set list, and I sent it to you, so you have it.
It's so good. It's so good. Mariah's great. People are like, no more Mariah. That's fine. I'm
I'd
sorry.
rather talk about Mariah than AP at this point.
Mariah delivers. The Raiders don't, unfortunately, right now. All right, Ray
Did she
Nation.
call plays?
She call plays. I know. That'd be because she could call plays. All right, Ray Nation. We'll be back later in the week. Get some good stuff for you. We'll see when we get to all 22. And then I'll give my input on one of the quarterbacks and I mean last week we did who did we do last week?
Cam Ward.
We just in the Ryan did some initial thoughts about Cam Ward. I'm gonna do a little Drew Aller from Penn State. They changed their offensive coordinator, and I think he's played very well this year. And he improved dramatically, lost like 15 pounds to be more agile and be able to be a little bit more mobile. So we'll see. And he also has a big game coming up against Ohio State this week too, as well. So, we'll talk a little bit about him as well. So, I got to get to know these quarterbacks a little bit. All right, Ray Nation, take care. Have a great night.
Take care.
Peace.